Today we are going to learn the practical of leveling, in which we have to determine the different elevations of different points which are present on the ground. So this is the most important topic which is used in the surveying. So whenever we have to determine the elevation of different points which are present on the ground, then we have to perform this practical. So we will start with the title. So title of our practical is simple and differential leveling using at least 3 change points by using the digital level. So we are having different types of levels. So in this practical we are going to use the digital level. So aim of this practical is, as I have said, to find the elevation of points which are available on the ground. So this type of surveying is basically used for measurement of topography of the area. Also whenever we have to deal with the railways or we have to construct the roadways, then in that case this surveying is most useful. So these are some types of levels which are used for the surveying. So first type of level is the dumpy level. So this is very basic instrument. So in previous days we are using this dumpy level. So in this instrument we can measure the readings from the north direction, as well as we can measure the level of different points. Then we are having second type of level, that is tilting level. Then third one is the auto level, so which we are going to use in this surveying, and fourth one is the digital auto level. So nowadays we are using this digital auto level, but in this type we are going to use this auto level. So before going towards the different types of level and actual performing of this practical, we will see some basic definitions which are very important in this leveling. So we will start with the datum. So datum is nothing but a surface from which we can measure the different elevations of point. So it is a fixed reference point. So we can call it as the fixed reference from which we can measure the different elevation. So mean sea surface level is assumed as this datum. So we can say that at Karachi we are having this datum. So from that fixed datum we are measuring the different levels of different points. So in previous days we are using the benchmark which is available at the Karachi. Nowadays we are using the benchmark which is located at Kolkata. So that is nothing but a datum. Then second most important point in this is the benchmark. In short, it is also called as the BM. So benchmark means what? It is a fixed reference point from which we are measuring the distances. This benchmark is also divided into the 4 categories. So we are having temporary benchmark, permanent benchmark, then geodetic benchmark is there, and arbitrary benchmark is there. So these are the 4 types of this benchmark. So whenever you are dealing with the leveling, then first step will be fixing of this benchmark. So from this fixed elevation we have to measure the elevations of different points. Then our third most important definition is the reduced level. So reduced level means what? It is nothing but a elevation of any point with reference to this benchmark. So now in this surveying, after observing the readings, we have to find out the reduced level of each point which is present on the ground surface. So reduced level is nothing but what? It is a fixed elevation of any point with reference to this benchmark. Then our 4 important point is the foresight. It is also written as the FS, and this reduced level is written as the RL. So foresight means what? Whenever you are dealing with the surveying works, then the readings which are taken in forward direction in our survey work, that readings comes under this column, that is foresight. Then we are having the intermediate sight. So the readings which comes in between the change points or intermediate readings, while doing the survey works we are taking some random reading. So that random reading comes into this column, that is intermediate sights. And back sight means what? The reading which are taken on previous points while dealing with the surveying work. So that is nothing but a back sight. So it is written as the BS. So when we will perform the practicals, then you will get a better idea of these 3 readings, that is BS, FS and IS. So these 3 readings are very much important whenever you are dealing with the leveling. Then we are having the change point. So change point means what? So whenever you are dealing with the surveying work, so suppose you are having the area, so suppose this is your ground, and in this ground suppose you are standing at this point. Now from this point the points which are visible are like this, and suppose one point for which I have to take the reading. So suppose for this point A, it is not possible for me to take the readings from this point O. So that's why I have to shift my instrument from this point O to at this point, that is P. So from this point P, it is very easy for me to observe the readings which are available at this point A. So I am shifting my instrument from the point O to the point P. So this shifting of instrument is known as the change point. Now in this case, suppose I am starting the reading from this point, then this first reading will be my back side. Okay, and that first reading will be of the benchmark. So this one be your benchmark. Then the second reading which I am observing from this point, suppose this is your first point, this one is second, third, fourth and fifth. So the second reading which I am observing from this point O will comes in the column of IS, that is intermediate side. Then second reading again it comes in the column IS, that is intermediate side, and so on. Now for this point A, suppose this is your 6th point. So for this point A, where we have to take a change point, then in that case I will observe the reading from O. If it is not accessible, then I will shift the instrument at P. Now from P, my first work will be to observe the reading of the previous point. Now in this case, our previous point will be reading number 5, because we are shifting the instrument for 6 reading. So for this reading number 5, I have to take the reading first on this point 5, and that reading will be written again in the column of backside, and again from this P, the reading which I have observed, that reading will comes again into the foresight. So that is the way of writing the readings, and this shifting of instrument is known as the change point. And last important definition related to this leveling is nothing but a line of collimation. So line of collimation means what? Whenever I am observing the distance or object by using the dumpy level or auto level, then my eyesight and the object side which is clearly passing through the diaphragm, then that imaginary line we will call it as the line of collimation. So these are some basic definitions which are used for the leveling. So as we have seen these are the different readings which we have to take. So I will explain you in detail how to take a different readings by using this digital level. So suppose we have started our surveying work from this point. So this will be our start point, and we will name it at O station. Now from this O station, after fixing the instrument, I have to take the readings of these different points which are marked on the ground. So our first step whenever we are dealing with the surveying is to take the reading of benchmark. So our first reading from this start point O will be of this benchmark, and this reading, that is first reading, I have to write in the column of BS, that is backside. Then after the taking reading of this benchmark, we will take a second reading which is of this first point, that is first object point. So this first reading will again come in the column of IS, and similarly we have to do for the remaining points. Now after taking reading of first point, I will take the reading of second, then third, then fourth, and then fifth. Now all these readings I have to write in the column of IS, that is intermediate side. Now my 6th point is located far away from my start point. So this 6th point is located very far from this start point O. So for this, if the problem is occurring, then our next step will be to shift our instrument from this point O to this different point P, that is different station. So whenever the object is not visible by our eyes, by using the leveling instrument, then we have to shift our instrument from this point O to the different point. Now before shifting, our important point is what? The last reading which we have taken from the first point, that reading we have to write in the column of foresight. So this reading of fifth object which is taken from point O will be written in the column of Fs. So this is very most important point. So if you are not writing this reading in the column of foresight, then your readings will be error. You will have a error in your calculation. So you have to remember this point. Now I have shipped my instrument from this point O to the point P. Now my first step will be to take a reading of this same point 5 from this station point P, and this reading I have to write in the column of backside, because I am taking the reading which are of previous line. So the readings are taken in the reverse manner, so that's why I will write this into the column of backside. And again same procedure will be there. So reading of the 6th point, so if it is the last point, then I will write the reading in the column of Fs, and if I have to take more readings, then I will write this reading in the column of Is. So in short I will explain you. So in this you can see that the reading of Bs, Is and Fs. So first reading of benchmark will be in the back side, then first, second, third and fourth reading will be in the intermediate side. Then our fifth reading which is taken from point O, which is written in the foresight. Then the fifth reading which is taken from point P is written in the back side, and the last point, that is 6, will be written in the foresight. So after taking the readings, we have to write down these different readings into our different columns which are written in our field books or on the observation table. So in this first column will be of station, second column will be of distance. So distance, if it is required, then we have to write down the distance. Then these are the different staff readings which we have to write. So back side, intermediate side, foresight. After writing the readings, we have to calculate the height of instrument, that is Hi. Then we have to write down the differences which are taken, that is rise or fall. Then we have to calculate the reduced levels, and we have to write down the remark. So students, before performing practicals, we will see which are the different types of levels. So now I have these two types of levels with me. So this first one level is known as the dumpy level. So you can see that this level is made up of metal material. It is attached with the compass. It is attached with the leveling tube. So you can see that here the level tube is provided in this dumpy level. Then you can measure the readings by using this dumpy level through this eyepiece, and this one is the object piece. So these are some components, basic components of this dumpy level. But today we are going to use this auto level. So I will explain you in detail what is this auto level. So this auto level we have to use for our practical. In this auto level we will start from the end points. So at the bottom you can see that one ring is provided, and on that ring this instrument is moving. So this ring which is fixed at the bottom, so this is known as the leveling head. So this leveling head is provided with 3 foot screws. So these are 3 foot screws. So these are 2 foot screws, and this one is 1 foot screw. So these 3 foot screws are used for leveling of the instrument. So before taking the readings, you have to make sure that the instrument is which is in proper level. So for checking the level of this instrument is provided with the bubble tube. So you can see that here bubble tube is provided. So you have to make sure that this bubble which is present on this bubble tube should be at the center before taking the readings. So by using these 3 foot screws, you can make sure that your instrument will be in level. So there is basic process for leveling of this instrument. So before starting the leveling, you have to place your instrument perpendicular to these 2 foot screws, and then you can make a arrangement in clockwise direction or in anti-clockwise direction. So once you fix this instrument on the tripod, then you will get a better idea of this leveling. So after this leveling head, this instrument is provided with the marking of the readings. So if you have to measure the angle between different points, then you can measure that angle by using this compass markings. So these compass markings are in 360 degree, and if you want to take a readings with respect to north direction, then temporary supplementary north will be attached to this reading, this instrument, and you can measure the reading. This screw which is present here at my right hand, this screw is known as the focusing screw. So this focusing screw is used for focusing of the leveling staff, for which we have to take the readings. So that is the use of this focusing screw. Then this auto level is provided with the eyepiece. Now this is the eyepiece. This eyepiece is provided with the screw which is used for the zooming and zoom out, and also this screw is used for setting of the diaphragm. Now diaphragm is the place from which we have to bisect our reading. So this diaphragm is provided with the crosshairs arrangement which we have seen in the class. So that diaphragm arrangement we have to use for bisecting the leveling staff. So you can move this eyepiece and you can bisect the reading. Then the ven which is used for observation of staff, it is the object ven. So this one is the object piece, or this one is the object ven. So the line which will pass from this eyepiece through this object piece and up to our leveling staff, that imaginary line we will call it as the line of collimation. So the use of focusing screw and eyepiece is very useful whenever you are bisecting the leveling staff. And also you can see that here the mirror is provided. So whenever there is the reflection, whenever instrument is placed at the height, then you can use this mirror for observing your level tube. So these are some basic components which are used for this dumpy level. These two screws are also provided for fixing the level with our tripod. Now we have to fix this instrument onto our tripod before taking our readings. So students, whenever we have to take the readings by using the auto level, then we have to use this leveling staff. So this leveling staff is made up of aluminum material, and it is available in the height of 3 meter or to 5 meter. So now I have this leveling staff which is of the height of 5 meter. So this staff is marked with the readings which are written in the red and black color, and some black strips are available to read the readings. Now you have to remember some basic things. So this one black strip is of height of 5 mm, and we have to mark the readings in meter. So once the least count of this leveling staff will be 0.005 meter, that means 5 mm. So now we will see how to read the readings. Now suppose I have to read the reading at this point, then my reading observation will be like that. So I will start from the 0. So it is 0.8. So that means that 800 readings are taken. So for this one, our reading will be 0.8. I will start from this point. So 0.8, then 0.805, 0.810, 0.820, 0.830, 840, and for the bottom of this black line, the reading will be 0.845. That will be your reading. So you have to remember that whenever you are taking the reading at the bottom of this black line, then your end digit will be 5, and whenever you are taking the readings on the top of the black line, then your end readings will be 0. Now again we will see one different reading. So suppose I have to take the reading for this point, then my reading will be, so it is 0.8. So it is 0.8, and here we are completing the 0.8, that is 80 centimeter. So that will be our reading. Suppose I have to take the reading at this point, then my reading will be 0.8, 10, 20 and 30. So our reading for this point will be 0.830.
So students, now we will take the reading by using this digital level. So we have to take different change points in this practical, and also we have to set our instrument on the field. So before fixing this instrument to the tripod, you can check the basics of the leveling. So you can use one pen. So you can just roll down your pen on this tripod stand. So if this pen has stability on this tripod stand, then you can say that your tripod is at the level. After checking this one, you can fix your instrument on this tripod stand. So I will just simply fix this instrument on the tripod stand. After fixing this instrument, I will make sure that the bubble tube will be in the center. So for the checking of bubble tube, we have to use this different foot screws. So leveling head is used for the leveling. So first you have to keep this telescope perpendicular to the two foot screws, and you have to check the level of your instrument. So with the help of these foot screws, you can make sure that your instrument is in the level. Then after that you can place this telescope perpendicular to this 2 foot screws, and you can check that the bubble tubes level. So first I will check the leveling. I will adjust the bubble at its center. So now my adjustments are done. My instrument is in proper level, my bubble tube is at center, and while moving around this instrument you have to make sure that, and you have to take care of this thing, that this leg should not be moved by your movement. So your movements you have to restrict, and you have to take care about the moving of this instrument. Also now we will start our practical with taking the first reading on the benchmark. So first I have decided to take the benchmark at the corner of the electric pole. So I will bisect my object by using the eyepiece and focusing screw. So you can see that first I will adjust the focus on the electricity pole and the staff which is kept nearer to that electricity pole, and after focusing the reading I will just simply adjust the diaphragm readings with the help of the eyepiece. So now my object is clearly visible to me, my leveling staff is clearly visible to me. So I will just note down the readings available on the leveling staff. So you have to bisect the middle here and the reading on the leveling staff, and you have to write down the reading. So you have to note down that reading in the column of back side, and in the remark column you have to write down that we have taken the benchmark at this point. Now for the simple leveling, the ground is the flat surface, so we can randomly take different points for measurement of the readings. So we have measured the readings on benchmark now. So we will bisect our second point, which is random point I have taken on the ground, and I will just measure the reading of this random point. So first you have to focus your object, then now my object is very clear, I will able to see the object. So for slight movement you can use this knob for shifting of the instrument. So now my staff is exactly visible to me, I will just clear my diaphragm and I will write down this reading in the column of intermediate side, because this is the second reading which I am taking from this point. So after this writing this second reading in the diaphragm, in the field book I will shift this point randomly towards the third point. So we will take the reading of this third point randomly by shifting our staff, because we are doing here the simple leveling. So in simple leveling we can say that we are adjusting the instrument randomly at any point. Now you can see that our point is shifted by slight difference. So I will again do the focusing. So for focusing, first you can bisect your object by this view. Now after bisecting I will just focus my vision, I will just adjust the reading, I will clear my diaphragm and I will write down my reading into the column of intermediate side. So this is our third reading which we have noted and we have write down in the column of intermediate side. Now we will take the fourth reading, but before taking fourth reading, we will make sure that we have to shift the instrument after taking that fourth number reading. So we will just shift our staff, we will just shift our observation point to the next point, and after taking this reading we are going to shift our instrument also. So that will be our change point. So before taking this reading you have to write down this reading in the column of the fourth side, because at this point we are shifting the instrument and we are measuring the side of our object. So this is our change point. So now I will bisect the object again by using the prism which is provided on the top of this telescope. So I will just make sure that correct focusing will be done, and after the focusing now I will use the focusing screw to focus my object. So simply I will just bisect the object, I will focus the object. Now I will make clear my diaphragm and I will write down this reading in the column of foresight. So why I am writing this reading in the column of foresight? Because I am shifting the instrument after taking the reading at this point. So now I have written down this reading in the column of foresight. Now I will just simply shift this instrument to the next point. Now we have shipped our instrument from our first station point. Now after shifting the instrument I have done the basic setting of the instrument, I have done the leveling. My bubble tube is at center now. So I will bisect again the same point which we have bisect from the previous station, and I will write down this reading in the column of back side again, because I am taking this reading in the backward direction of the survey line. So that why that this reading will be in the back side. So we will just use the focusing screw. So I will just focus my leveling staff, I will focus the object, then I will clear the diaphragm and I will write down the reading. So this reading will fall in the column of the back side only. So you have to remember that whenever you are shifting the instrument, then at that point two readings are there. So one is in the column of foresight and one is in the column of back side. Now again I will take the reading of the next point. So we will shift our leveling staff to the next point. So now after taking the reading of previous point, we will move towards the next point. So again the same adjustments are there. So you have to focus your focus. You have to use your eyepiece for clearing the diaphragm, and you have to write down this reading in the column of intermediate side. So in similar ways, we have to take 3 change points, and we have to observe the simple and differential leveling by taking different change points. Now we will take the reading of the next point. So now we have taken the readings of different points. Now we will take the reading of our last point, and we will write down the last reading in the column of foresight, because we are ending the recording. So I have adjusted the telescope, I have adjusted the focus screw, and I have adjusted the diaphragm. So now we will just write down this reading, and this will fall in the column of foresight. Also in this way we can use this leveling for measurement of level of the ground, for measurement of different reduced levels of this particular ground. So in this way, by taking the different change points, you can measure the readings which are not accessible. So you have to use the change point when one reading is not visible to you. So you can use the different instrument station, and you can shift your instrument for measurement of the reading. Now we will calculate the reduced level of these different points for which we have taken the readings.
So students, these are some readings which we have taken on the field. Now we have written these readings as per the page of field book. So we have started our work from station P, and that's why I am written here the readings. So back side, intermediate side and foresight. So in our practical we are having 3 change points. So that change points are Q, R and S, and we have started with our work at point P. Now we will see how to calculate the different levels of these different points. So we will start from the first point. Now first reading which we have taken was 0.895, and this readings we have taken on our benchmark. So for this benchmark, as it is the benchmark and we have assumed this benchmark, so we will assume the reduced level of this benchmark as 200 meter. So in the column of reduced level, I have written here 200 meter. So all these readings which are written here are in the meter. So the reduced level of the benchmark is 200 meter. Now we will solve this problem by the method of height of instrument, that is HI method. And if you have to solve this problem by using the rise and fall method, then you have to write your answers in these 2 columns. So now we will start with the first reading itself. So for the first point where we have to determine the height of instrument, we have to add these 2 readings, that is the reduced level and the reading of backside. So our formula for determination of this HI, that is height of instrument, is equal to reduced level plus backside. So at any point where you have taken the backside, at that point you have to change your height of instrument. So the reading for height of instrument for first point will be 200 plus 0.895, and that will be equal to 200.895. So same reading I have written here in the column of HI, that is 200.895. Now I have to determine the reduced level of the next point. Now for the next point, our reading we have written in the column of IS, that is 1.120. Now for this one, what is the formula for determination of reduced level? So our formula is reduced level is equal to height of instrument minus foresight, or height of instrument minus foresight or intermediate side. So you can take both of this. So it is HI minus foresight. So these are the 2 formulas which we can use for determination of reduced level. So for the second point, our reduced level will be 200.895 minus 1.120, then you will get the answer 199.775. Similarly, for the third point, again we have to subtract these two readings. So you have to remember that subtraction will be like this. So this will be your reduced level. Now for the third point, again we have to subtract this value. After subtracting, you will get the answer 199.555. Again for determination of this HI, again you have to add these two values, that is 199.555 plus 0.990. Then your answer will be 200.545. Now again for the next point, we are having different height of instrument. So again you have to subtract this two value. Then your reduced level will be 198.425. Again for the next point, you have to subtract height of instrument and the intermediate side, and you will get the answer of 198.410. Now for this point R, again we are having the change point. Again our reading is come in this column, that is backside. So for this stage, again we have to change our height of instrument. So similarly, first step will be subtract 200.545 and this 2.450. Then by subtracting this two value, you will get the reduced level 198.095. Again you have to add this 198.095 into this 1.380. Then you will get the value of 199.475. Again you have to subtract with these values. After subtracting this value, you will get this respective reduced levels. And for the change point, you have to add this reduced level and this back side. Then you will get the answer 197.245. And for this last two readings, you have to subtract these two values. So in this all calculations, don't get confused. Only you have to remember two basic formulas, and that formulas are height of instrument will be equal to reduced level plus backside, and reduced level will be equal to height of instrument minus IS, or height of instrument minus foresight. So for each point where we are having the change point, you will get different height of instrument. So as we are shifting the instrument from one point to another point, then for that point we will have this different heights of instrument. So this is very simple method. It is very accurate method. So whenever we are dealing with the leveling, then we can use this method. Now how to check our results are okay, how to check our calculations are correct. So for minimizing the errors, we have some checks which are used in this method. So that check will be summation of backside minus summation of foresight will be equal to last reduced level minus first reduced level. So these two differences will be equal. So there are no sign conventions for this one. So only the numerical value between these two differences should be equal. So let's check for this one. So in this column, I have made the calculation. I have made the summation of this backside. So summation of backside will be 4.14 and summation of foresight will be 7.675. So difference between these two values will be 3.535, and again you have to check the difference between first RL and last RL. So you can check the difference. So if you subtract 200 and 196.465, then you will get the value 3.535. So we can say that our calculations are okay, our results are good, and our readings which we have taken are without the errors. So you can do this calculation likewise. So this method we are using for the calculations.